What are runes in Season of Discovery? I don't know, I've not played the game yet. Oh, but I do know what they are. The whole point of it being called Season of Discovery is because you're going to be discovering things, and one of those things that you're going to discover is runes. Runes can be discovered from quests, the open world, and other secrets that just aren't revealed yet because we're not getting a PTR, we're not getting a beta, so it's not going to be solved, which is what makes this quite exciting. You would expect to get introduction runes just from following the main quest lines, or even just some sort of breadcrumb quest or hint leading you to where some of these runes might be.
When you get to around level 2, however, in the starter zone, your class trainer will offer you a new quest, and this is to go find your first rune. We'll talk about runes in a little bit more in a minute, but after that, after that intro quest, the game simply tells you, go find more.
On the basis we don't know where any of them are, but we do know what they are, I thought it'd be a good time to talk about some of them. I started recording this video and was going to look at every single class's runes and just have a little conversation about them. It ended up being hours long, and I'm not even kidding. So I'm going to do one class at a time, starting with the Paladin. So the rune slots that are going to be available at level 25 are going to be for chest, legs, and gloves. And as we progress through the leveling bands, you're going to unlock more that will go on, let's say, shoulders, boots, cape, wrist, wherever they're going to go. Up until 25, you can get 4 for the chest as a paladin. First one's going to be Seal of Martyrdom, which fills you with Holy Spirit for 30 seconds, causing each of your melee attacks to deal 30% weapon damage to up to 3 nearby targets, but you lose health equal to 10% of the damage inflicted. Whilst this seal is active, your party members within 40 yards each gain mana equal to all the damage you take. Unleashing the seal's energy will judge an enemy, instantly causing 70% weapon damage at the cost of health equal to 10% of the damage inflicted. That seal is not new. Of course, it's changed a little bit. And the thing I love about this straight away is, you probably noticed it lasts 30 seconds. So it's the original sort of form of seals where you're constantly refreshing them. Like vanilla. So it's not like you're getting Seal of the Martyrdom and it lasts 10 minutes or it lasts 30 minutes. We're talking 30 seconds at a time. It's also great at the cost of you needing to be healed a little bit more because you're taking damage. You're giving everyone else mana back. The next chest rune is Divine Storm, which is an instant weapon attack causing 110% of weapon damage up to 4 enemies within 8 yards. The Divine Storm heals up to 3 party or raid members, totaling 25% of the damage caused. I think we all know what Divine Storm does, so not really a lot to talk about there. It is literally just Divine Storm, but how cool is that? Horn of Lordaeron is another chest rune. The Paladin blows the Horn of Lordaeron, which increases total strength and agility of all party members within 30 yards by 17. This lasts 2 minutes and is exclusive with Blessing of Might. So Horn of Lordaeron, basically Horn of Winter, but for Paladins. Very cool. Aegis is another chest rune, which increases your block value by 30%, and damaging melee and ranged attacks have a 10% chance to increase your chance to block by 30%. This lasts 10 seconds of 5 blocks. Effect is not cumulative with Redoubt. So what's interesting about this is obviously Redoubt is the first 5 points that you would put into the protection talent tree. If you was Retribution, this does mean that you could use this chest rune, maybe just to fill the spot of a tank in a 5-man or something, without needing to worry about respecking. You know, these runes are going to be able to be used in quite funky ways. Then we've got 5 different leg runes. First one is Divine Sacrifice, which many of us know and use very regularly as Paladins in Wrath, where 30% of all damage taken by party members within 30 yards is redirected to the Paladin for 10 seconds. Damage which reduces the Paladin below 20% health will break the effect and grant the Paladin 10% increased damage and healing done over 10 seconds. Now that's an interesting change. Actually being able to use it as not only a raid-wide defensive cooldown to reduce damage, but then you also get the benefit of getting 10% extra damage and healing from it once it breaks. I mean, that's pretty cool. These are going to be really tough to choose between. The next leg rune really does make me laugh. Inspiration Exemplar. Your inspiring presence periodically dispels fear and sleep effects on nearby party members. Now you've got to remember they've gone down the route of trying to keep it as vanilla as possible, you know, in terms of lore and everything that's going on. So you have only got Paladins on the Alliance and Shamans on the Horde still. So this is actually their way of balancing that, which I find really, really impressive and quite interesting, especially when we get to the Shaman stuff, because you basically are, as a Paladin now, you can use this leg rune and become a Tremor Totem. If it's a fight where you don't need a Tremor Totem, you don't need that pulsing, you know, fear and sleep effect to be dispelled, you don't use it. And you can change your runes at any time out of combat. So I really like that even on a fight-by-fight basis, what rune you use is going to massively affect the rest of your party, or the rest of your group, or the rest of your raid, and you're going to do it on a fight-by-fight basis. Avenger's Shield is a classic, so hurls a holy shield at the enemy, dealing 165 to 197 holy damage, dazing them, and jump into additional nearby enemies. And it affects 3 total targets. That's cool. I like it. And obviously, as somebody who's played a lot of prop Paladin, it'd have been nice if it had the silence effect on it as well, which maybe we'll see at a later date. But at the moment, it is just a daze, which that's fine. But having the silence effect attached to it as well would be banging. The next leg enchant is Exorcist. So Exorcism can now be cast on any target and has a 100% increased critical strike chance against undead and demons. So for those of you that maybe haven't really played Wrath, Exorcism is a core part of the rotation, really. You use it with Art of War procs, and it can be used on anything. So really, this leg rune is just turning it into the Wrath of the Lich King Exorcism, which, yeah, pretty cool. Rebuke is another great one. Interrupts spellcasting and prevents any spell in that school from being cast for 2 seconds. You will get Rebuke in Cataclysm, and you get it as all specs. So you'd be able to use Holy, Prot, Ret, doesn't matter. You'd be able to have an interrupt in all 3 specs. So this is great because you can have an interrupt in all 3 specs. It's going to come down to what you're having to sacrifice from the legs. But again, if you was to think of a Holy Paladin as an example, if it's a fight where you need the pulsing fear resist, you'll use that leg enchant. If there's another one, another fight maybe where you're going to be up close and personal with a boss, healing still, you could be part of an interrupt rotation if, let's say, your group just lacks people with interrupts, or lacks people that would need to use a rune to get an interrupt. Interesting. And the final 3 are glove runes. So the first one is an easy one, Beacon of Light. We all know what Beacon of Light is. The target becomes a beacon to all members of your party or raid within 60 yards. Any heals you cast on a party or raid member will heal the Beacon of Light for 100%. And only one target can be a Beacon of Light at a time. As somebody who heals ICC, well, heals everything every single week, this is great. Having this in vanilla is going to feel so funky, to the point where, as a Holy Paladin, there's no other rune you're going to get. I can't imagine. Even if there's other runes that you unlock by level 60 on gloves, you're not going to use anything else, are you? Beacon of Light all the way. It's the same way Crusader Strike on your gloves is an instant strike that causes 75% weapon damage and regenerates 2% of your maximum mana. So you're probably not going to use anything other than that for Ret. And then finally, Hand of Reckoning taunts the target to attack you, but has no effect if the target is already attacking you. And while you know this ability, the threat bonus from Righteous Fury is increased to 80%, and Righteous Fury causes you to gain mana when healed by others equal to 25% of the amount healed. So they've basically put in spiritual attunement, so they've brought all the prop Paladin sort of things that make it great in Wrath of the Lich King and onwards, and have baked it all into this one rune. Because additionally, while Righteous Fury is active, damage which takes you below 35% health is reduced by 20%. And that, again, in Wrath of the Lich King is a talent that's a lot further down the tree. And that particular glove rune, as a prop Paladin, you wouldn't use anything else, would you? So it looks like the glove runes are almost not optional, and I would say that you're probably going to learn that very early. These are the introductory ones that are going to go on your gloves because they sort of make or break your spec. To keep you waiting too long to get these obviously would be ridiculous, because you're not going to tank without Hand of Reckoning, you're not going to want to heal without Beacon of Light, even though you would, and as a Ret, you're going to want Crusader Strike. So my guess would be you'll get these in the starting zone very, very early. But that's all the Paladin runes that we know about up until level 25, and I think it's going to be pretty sick. I'm going Paladin as my first character. My Alliance character is going to be a Paladin, and I'm going to do a Horde Druid. So I'm going to cover Druid next. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. I am going to keep you up to date through all of Season of Discovery, so if you're interested in this game, definitely subscribe, because I'm going to go pretty hard on it, especially all the way up until Kata Classic, where then I can take a bit of a step back and focus more on Kata, because, you know, I'm all about that. So, see you on the next one.